for his statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Господин председатель.
Mr. President, distinguished minister, we're very pleased to see you in the president's seat here in the council. We are grateful to Kuwait for convening today's meeting, as well as for initiating the adoption of a presidential statement of the Security Council on the issue of cooperation with the League of Arab States, which we support. We believe that it is necessary to strengthen cooperation with the LAS, given the persistent potential for conflict in the Middle East. We believe that just as with African problems, there should be Arab solutions to Arab problems. We thank the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and the Secretary General of the LAS, Ahmed Abulgait, for their detailed briefings. We share many of the assessments that were voiced in those briefings, and on our part, we would like to highlight the following moments. The colleagues sitting at this table can confirm that the issues of the Middle East and Northern Africa are a top priority for this Council, almost as much so as the issues of the African continent. And this is no coincidence. The Middle East and North African region is undergoing a complex and difficult period. The beginning of that period was the very unwise steps that led to external interference in the domestic affairs of the countries of the region. There are still ongoing active conflicts in Syria and Lebanon and Libya. We are seeing protests in the Sudan and potential for further protest. Much remains to be done to strengthen stability in Iraq. The issue of Western Sahara is also awaiting resolution. At the epicenter of this turbulence is the Israeli-Palestinian settlement, the international legal basis for which has recently been eroded as a result of unilateral steps on the part of key players in the Middle East settlement process. There is an ongoing escalation of terrorism and extremism. Socioeconomic problems are exacerbating. This is all undoubtedly increasing the relevance of the LAS as a mechanism for multilateral coordination for the collective efforts of regional players, as well as limiting destructive external interference into the affairs of the region. We are interested in a strong, unified, and effective League of Arab States, one that will allow to raise the profile of the Arab world in preventing and overcoming deadlock and conflict, and providing a collective response to the challenges facing the regions which we have just described. There's a need to come together to achieve one of the most important goals before us today, launching regional dialogue aimed at establishing a security architecture in the Persian Gulf, where currently, according to our views, tensions are being artificially fueled and inflamed around Iran. A relevant Russian concept for this, which would subsequently cover the entire Middle East and North African region, could, in our view, serve as a basis for this. We know that similar ideas were repeatedly proposed by the Secretary General of the United Nations. We call for fully leveraging the potential for cooperation between the League of Arab States and the United Nations. In that regard, we support regular coordination between the organization on regional relevant issues that are on the Security Council's agenda, as well as exchange of experience in resolving crises and other challenges hindering the maintenance of international and regional peace and security. In our view, cooperation between the Security Council of the United Nations and the LAS would facilitate developing balanced international approaches to addressing Arab issues, as well as to develop new mechanisms to settle regional crises. Specific areas for such cooperation could be anti-crisis mediation, aligning positions on acute conflict situations, in particular in Syria, including specific measures to assist post-conflict recovery in the SAR, as well as assistance in resolving the Palestinian issue on an internationally recognized legal basis, humanitarian activity, the issue of sustainable development of the Arab world, developing a proper strategy to counter new emerging challenges in the region, including the rise of terrorism and illicit cross-border migration. Mr. President, Russia will continue strengthening its partnership with the LAS on a mutually beneficial basis. We hold regular consultations on relevant international and regional issues. The fifth ministerial session of the Russian Arab Cooperation Forum held on 16 April of this year in Moscow, and its outcomes, the Plan of Action for 2019-2021, as well as a joint communique, have reaffirmed the convergence of our position on a broad spectrum of issues, including the Israeli-Palestinian settlement, Syria, Iraq, Libya, Yemen, Sudan, Somalia, counterterrorism, non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East, and the dialogue of civilizations. And speaking of the dialogue of civilizations, it is necessary to mention the situation of Christians and other religious and ethnic minorities that have become the victims of destabilization and fallen hostage to extremist rhetoric in the Middle East and North Africa region. The LAS, in our view, could play a positive role in helping spread a culture of interconfessional and interethnic peace, and we are prepared to share our experience in this area. To conclude, we would like to underscore that Russia will remain a fair and unbiased partner for our Arab friends, one that they can trust. Thank you, Mr. President.
أشكر ممثل
I thank the representative